elections machines in Coffee County, Georgia. This conspiracy included the following objectives. 1, to willfully tamper with electronic ballot markers and tabulating machines. 2, to cause certain members of the conspiracy who were not officers charged by law with the care of ballots and who were not persons entrusted by any such officer with the care of ballots for a purpose required by law to possess official ballots outside of the polling place. 3, to use a computer with knowledge that such use was without authority and with the intention of taking and appropriating information, data, and software, the property of Dominion Voting Systems Corporation. 4, to use a computer with knowledge that such use was without authority and with the intention of removing voting data and Dominion Voting Systems Corporation data from said computer. 5, to use a computer with the intention of examining personal voter data with knowledge that such examination was without authority. Each of these constituted attempts to interfere with, hinder, and delay Missy Hampton in the performance of her election duties. In furtherance of these conspiracies, the defendant entered into a contract with Sullivan Strickler LLC in Fulton County, Georgia, and delivered a payment to Sullivan Strickler LLC in Fulton County, Georgia, and caused employees of Sullivan Strickler LLC to travel from Fulton County, Georgia to Coffee County, Georgia for the purpose of accomplishing the objectives of this conspiracy. These were overt acts to affect the object of the conspiracy. The data taken from Coffee County, Georgia was distributed to members of the conspiracy and unknown persons in Georgia and elsewhere. That would be the factual basis for the charges in this case. The state has looked at Mrs. Powell's background. She does not have any prior convictions being misdemeanors or felonies. And at this time, the state will give to the court the signed accusation.
Anything else, Ms. Young?
And Judge, I would just like to add, the restitution will go to the Secretary of State for the cost that was incurred for having to replace the equipment in Coffee County. It will provide payment information to the probation office.
All right, thank you, Ms. Young. Mr. Rafferty.
May I be seated, Judge?
Sir, anything you wanted to add?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Other than, as I mentioned, I'm not sure if it was in the formal signed plea by Ms. Powell, but reiterating what we've already discussed, she's pleading to misdemeanors. The indictment that was filed against her will be dismissed. She will get first offender treatment, and we will have the language in there concerning crimes of moral turpitude.
All right, Ms. Powell, I just have a few questions for you. Do you understand the nature of the charges that have been reaccused and that you would be pleading guilty to today?
I do, sir.
And you've heard all the rights that the state has gone through that you would waive by going forward with this plea. Do you still wish to waive those rights?
I do.
And are you pleading guilty today because you agree that there is a sufficient factual basis, that there are enough facts that support this plea of guilty?
I do.
Mr. Rafferty, are you satisfied your client is competent in understanding that the plea is voluntary and that there is a sufficient factual basis for entering this plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
I agree and find that there is a sufficient factual basis, and I find this plea of guilty to be knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently entered. There's been a request that this sentence be entered under the First Offender Act, and the court will approve that request to withhold adjudication. But I must notify you, Ms. Powell, that you are not allowed to withdraw your plea simply because you do not comply with the terms of the sentence. And the terms of that sentence would be as recommended by the parties. On count 1, conspiracy to commit intentional interference with the performance of election duties, the sentence would be 12 months probation. And counts 2 through 6 would also be 12 months probation consecutive to each other and to count 1 for a total term of essentially 6 years probation, but we're going to translate that into months for the sentence sheet. Special conditions would include a $6,000 fine with $1,000 for each count. Restitution to be paid in the amount of $2,700 to the Georgia Secretary of State's office. You are to have written a letter, which you've already satisfied. You're also to provide a recorded proffer with the state, which you've already satisfied. You're to testify truthfully against any and all co-defendants in this matter at any upcoming proceedings. You are not to have any communication with any witness, any co-defendant, or any member of the media concerning the facts or circumstances of this case. and you to provide all documents to the district attorney's office as requested and relevant to this case. Again, Ms. Young, I would ask if you could provide the state's recitation of the exact phrasing of these, and we'll make sure that's reflected in the final disposition form. In order to make this sentence consistent with Mr. Hall, I do believe it would be appropriate, and I'm willing to include the language involving moral turpitude, although that language being included on the sentence form may not ultimately have any effect on the entities responsible for actually determining that. Are there any other express conditions and special conditions, Ms. Young, that you would like to see reflected on this sentence?
I think you covered it, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Rafferty, is there anything else that you think needs to be on the record today? Ms. Young, do the state have an announcement regarding the indictment in this case?
Yes, Your Honor, the state will be entering a null pros order on indictment number 23 SC 188947 as it applies to Ms. Powell.
All right. Well, upon being provided a copy of that motion, I will sign it and the charges in the indictment will be dismissed. All right. If there's nothing else, then we will conclude this and be off the record. Good luck, Ms. Powell.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Judge.